From catalog kit house to high-tech villa. Today, prefab homes carry an image of luxury and efficiency. KfW funding, passive house standard, assembly in just a few days. But did you know the idea behind it is more than 200 years old? Today we're taking a journey through time, from the first shipped timber cabins for Australian settlers all the way to the modern architect-designed home. Imagine you have just decided to emigrate to Australia by ship. And you want a roof over your head right away. A London carpenter named Henry Manning had spotted exactly that problem. In 1833, he developed what he called the portable Colonial Cottage. Prefabricated timber parts, numbered and labeled, that fit onto a ship and could supposedly be put up on site in a single day. No foundation problems, no missing tools, no language barrier with local craftsmen. The principle sounds simple, but it was a revolution. Manning hadn't just invented a house, he had invented the concept of prefabrication. Precision in the factory, fast assembly on site. The very same principle every modern prefab house is built on today. The next big step came from America, and it was so wild it still amazes us today. Between 1908 and 1940, Sears, Reebok and Company, a mail-order giant that still exists, sold over 70,000 houses by mail order. You would flip through models like the Lexington or the Fullerton, pick your floor plan and your facade, and a few weeks later a railway car arrived carrying 30,000 individual parts. Every pre-cut and numbered timber beam, every single nail, every roof tile, and a 75-page assembly manual. Many of them are still standing today. In the American Midwest, there are entire neighborhoods of Sears houses that have been family-owned for 90 years. The so-called ready-cut system saved around 40% of the carpentry work compared to conventional building. And in Germany, the story starts earlier than most people think. In 1884, in the small Baltic town of Wolgast, Germany's first prefab house manufacturer was founded, the Wolgaster Aktiengesellschaft. They didn't build simple wood huts. They built proper villas and exported them worldwide. To South America, to Africa, and to Bad Ischl in Austria, where the Villa Blumenthal still stands today. Living proof that prefabrication could mean luxury right from the very start. Then came the 20s. The Bauhaus in Dessau was experimenting with industrially prefabricated steel houses, quickly assembled, designed for series production. Walter Gropius believed that if you can build cars and furniture in a factory, you can build houses too. The idea was revolutionary. The materials weren't ready yet, but the direction was right. Then came the war, and afterwards, Germany lay in ruins, not only physically, millions of homes were missing. People needed something fast, something affordable, and roofs over their heads in very large numbers. That was the birth of the German mass-produced prefab house. In parallel, something remarkable was happening further east. In Škofja Loka in Slovenia, a sawmill had started operating back in 1905. In 1942, in the middle of the war, that company began building prefab houses. Jelovica, the same idea Manning had back in 1833, only with decades of timber experience behind them and forests right outside the door. In the 50s and 60s, brands like Okal and Neckermann came along. Yes, Neckermann, the same catalog where you bought bad linen and sports shoes, was also selling houses. The thinking behind it was the same as at Sears 30 years earlier. Make home ownership accessible to the broad middle of society. Affordable, fast, built in series. And it worked. In the 80s and 90s, Jelovica houses went to Africa, to Switzerland, and even 77 of them to the state of Connecticut. Hundreds of thousands of Germans moved into prefab houses back then. Good for the housing shortage, bad for the image. because many of these houses looked interchangeable, had thin walls and poor insulation. The insult of that era: cardboard box. That only started to change in the 70s, and the change had a name: Huf Haus, a company from the Westerwald region that showed a prefab house can also be an architectural statement. A post and beam structure of timber and glass. Individual planning instead of a catalogue. The counterpart to Huf Haus in Germany emerged in Slovenia from the 90s on, the company Kager, who we also work with. A family business rethinking the timber and glass house from scratch. Absolute professionals in post and beam construction. Floor to ceiling glazing, good architecture knows no compromises. Today's prefab companies stand for the same thing Manning started almost 2 centuries ago: quality from the factory, freedom on your own plot. Today, timber frame prefab houses are often the most energy efficient buildings on the market. KfW Efficiency House 40, Passive House Standard, and prefab manufacturers hit those numbers more reliably than conventional solid construction. The reason is prefabrication in the factory. Controlled conditions, computer-controlled CNC machines, cutting accurate to the centimeter. No rain on the sides soaking the structure. And timber itself is an answer to the climate change. Renewable, carbon storing, and far less energy intensive to produce than concrete or steel. What Henry Manning sent to Australia as an idea in 1833 now sits in every modern timber frame house as almost 2 centuries of collected knowledge. From shipbuilding to the smart home villa, the prefab house has been on an impressive journey. And the fascinating part is, the basic principle is still the same as in 1833. Prefabrication in the workshop, fast assembly on site, controlled quality. What has changed? The materials, the technology, the energy standards, and the image. Which style would you prefer? The classic from the Sears catalogue or the modern glass house? Tell us in the comments. And if you're planning to build, you'll find the link to our free consultation in the description.